lot of people are trying to make it political and saying that Stern was fired because of conservatives or Donald Trump or something like that. It's kind of like this. Howard signed a 20-year deal back in 2005 for something like $100 million. Forget how much money he was making per year, but the point is that money's not there anymore at XM. And also, what are they going to do? Sign Howie to a 10-year contract and he's going to be 81? From my understanding, the man takes the summers off already. His show has become quite different than what he was known for in the 90s and the 80s and even the early 2000s. So really, there's just no value in Howard Stern anymore to the tune of a $100 million deal. Yeah, there's no value there like there was once before. But the bigger story is that there's no value in XM radio. There's no value in Sirius. What's the point of even using Sirius? I wouldn't even know how to go about listening to Sirius XM because I don't have it in my vehicle. I wouldn't put it in my vehicle. It's interesting because it's become such a hassle to even get involved with satellite radio, not to mention you have to pay for it. When there's any litany of free content on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, all that stuff that you can listen to for free. And this is where XM really screwed up. Long time ago, I made a video called something about the last shock jock standing is what it was called. And it did really well. It was good enough to get the attention of Bubba the Love Sponge, probably because we gave Bubba a lot of props in there. And you'll see Bubba is getting a lot of notoriety right now because of the whole Hulk Hogan thing. So Bubba is actually more relevant right now than Howard Stern is. Now, they're pals. He used to be on the Howard Stern Network. But you see, even he's not on the Howard Stern Network because he would have less people listening to him there than he does on his YouTube channel. The point is this. Howard is only getting 125,000 listeners a day. 125,000 a day. It's like, man, how many people do you think are listening to Rogan every day? How many people do you think are listening to Theo Vaughn every day? And then that goes to like Colbert. So Colbert got fired from CBS Paramount. I heard some people try to say that it was because an ongoing litigation between CBS and Donald Trump. I don't think it's that either. Who's watching television? The segment of the audience that watches television are vastly over the age of 55. I have several colleagues that I work with, and they're over the age of 60. They cut the cable. They got rid of TV. They don't even have like YouTube TV or local channels or anything like that. If anything, they might have an antenna to get the digital feeds of the local stuff here in Phoenix into their home. But for the most part, none of them watch TV. What are they watching? They're watching YouTube. Everyone is watching YouTube. If you want to look at one of the biggest media companies and what they're doing right now, it's the WWE. So they just put up a channel called WWE Vault. And they're giving away pay-per-views and matches that you used to have to pay for on DVD or their on-demand service, WWE Network. They're giving it away for free. And a long time ago when I made that last Shock Jock Standing video, it was clear that Howard wasn't doing much with his YouTube channel. In fact, the vast majority of former shock jocks aren't doing a whole lot with their YouTube channel. That's why Bubba stood out of the pack so well, because he's putting his full terrestrial radio show on YouTube every day for free. I mean, it's on the radio for free too, but he's reaching way more people on YouTube than he is through his terrestrial radio stations. I mean, yeah, the footprint, he can probably reach millions of people based on the affiliates that he's broadcast through, but who's listening to AM radio? Who's listening to XM radio? You're seeing huge shifts in the way that media is consumed, and most importantly, curated media. So what's curated media? That's when you have a media company like Sirius XM, or you can even micro it down to Howard 100, the station on Sirius. That's when you have them actually curate the content for you. They set up a program schedule. It's what television used to be. You remember looking at the TV Guide or going to the preview channel or the TV Guide channel and looking at all the listings and all the things that were going to be coming up next on different channels. People want instant gratification. They don't want that curated media anymore. They don't want a station telling them, okay, you're going to watch this at this time, and this is going to be on this many times this week, and you're going to like it. No, they want it when they want it. It's like the old slogan of MTV in the 1980s, I want my MTV. Now it's just, I want my shit now. Like, people don't have patience at all. Excuse me. It's alive. But I find it interesting that people are trying to politicize the downfall of Stern. The man is 71. There's no way that Sirius is going to see value in signing up another contract for $100 million. I mean, is he going to broadcast for 20 more years? I don't think so. But here's the thing. Colbert and Stern, they're not completely done. They'll still have longevity. You know someone's going to offer Stern something, or he'll just be like Anthony Cumia, and he'll set up his own stuff, you know? Even Cumia's back on terrestrial radio. Maybe Stern goes back on terrestrial radio. But then again, like, who's going to listen, dude? Like, the guy has really damaged his brand. You know, he went from shock jock in the 1980s and 1990s to now, I don't know what you would call him. I mean, like, celebrity hobnobber. You know, he kind of became Imus, you know, which is funny. But, yeah, he'll still have a deal out there. Someone's going to pick up Howard. It might even be Spotify, dude. It might even be Pandora. Someone's going to pick up Howard. It's going to happen. And it'll probably just, you know, it might even be where he only does a few shows once in a while, kind of like Chappelle with the Netflix thing. And the same thing with Colbert. He's going to land on a channel. He's going to definitely land on a platform is what I mean. Hulu, Paramount Plus maybe, though he did just get fired from CBS Paramount. He might end up on Peacock. He might end up on Netflix, Prime maybe. Someone's going to give the boy a contract, and he's going to get signed up. That's what's going to happen. I could see maybe Peacock doing it, you know. But they have their own late-night guy. I don't know if Kimmel is on NBC or if it's the other guy, Jimmy Fallon. It might be Fallon over there. I don't watch TV. I've never paid for TV in my adult life since I've been outside of my house. Moved out of my house when I was about 25, and I've never paid for cable or satellite my entire life. Because I've always just looked at videos on YouTube. I mean, I guess I was an early adopter of that, but it is how I make my money too. And more people are treating YouTube like television. I've been running these channels for different people in the pickleball space, have some matchmaking channels, have some boxing channels, have some golf channels. And I only bring that up because across the board, 40% of all views are through the YouTube TV app. YouTube is becoming the major TV platform. Think about it like this. YouTube is the cable company, and every single YouTube channel is a channel on cable. But what's so beautiful about it for the creator is that you could really find your people just by being authentically yourself. The pickleball guys that I work with, you know, they're both unique characters. Actually, there's three guys I work with. One of those guys is more of a tutorial guy. The other guy is a young up-and-comer. The other guy is kind of a veteran, but they're two pros, one tutorial guy. My whole point of bringing that up is that they're all about pickleball, but they're distinctively different from each other. So that means there's this huge pie called YouTube, and there really is a piece for everyone. Now, does that mean that someone's going to make $100 million on YouTube in 20 years? Not necessarily, but I will say this. There's vastly more consumers on YouTube than there are actually creators. So because of that, if you actually hop on the platform, start making content, you have a higher likelihood of finding some type of audience, especially if you're being authentic, rather than trying to go through the rigors of going through traditional media, legacy media, they call it. Imagine how hard it was to get broken into the industry back then. That's why you hear all these horrible stories about people like Harvey Weinstein and Diddy, gatekeepers that would get people to do things against their will to get into an industry that they no longer even control. Because that industry's dead. Media is completely dead. Movie studios are dying. Everyone's so fearful of AI, but really what AI has done is democratized creation to where you won't need these huge budgets to create a movie anymore. You won't need these things to be able to put pen to paper and create your idea and put your vision out there. It's actually a huge leveling of the playing field. That's why it's interesting when I see someone like Howard get knocked down like this, because they just don't want to pay for it. They don't have the money. It's not even about not wanting to pay for Howard's contract. It's about they don't have the people listening to XM, because nobody cares. Nobody's going to pay for that. And not to mention, it'd be like handing a DVD to somebody. I remember I was at a business meeting and a guy handed another guy a DVD, right? And the other guy held the DVD like it was a foreign object, like it was some from outer space. And he said, well, what am I going to do with this? Because who has a DVD player anymore? I'm just saying, they're the only people that are pushing legacy media, be it DVDs, be it XM, be it broadcast television, be it terrestrial radio, are the people that work in those industries and the people that advertise on those industries. Mainly the people that work at the agencies that sell the ads, because they're trying to keep a job. And the people that work at all these networks, they're also trying to keep a job. And here's the other bad news. The way that broadcast media and cable media was created, the way it was presented, I should say, to the audience, that doesn't work on YouTube. You have to constantly engage people. Like, look at this video. I'm here live right now. I got one guy watching me because I'm not engaging that much right now. I'm just talking. I just felt like talking about this. I'll probably repurpose this for content down the road. But the point is this. If you're going to try to produce a television show like you did in the 1990s, like you did in 2010, it's not going to work on YouTube. It's just not going to work. It'll work on Netflix, but it's not going to work on YouTube. There's no way. Because on YouTube, like you're watching me right now, you got options below me, suggested videos. If you're on desktop, you got suggested videos. Even if you're on the YouTube TV app, you know all you got to do is hit the little down arrow on your remote and you could go to the next thing. So if you're not constantly engaging the audience, or at least presenting some sort of compelling content that really speaks to what they're looking to experience, whether it be entertainment, whether it be education, it could even be meditation. One of the big channels that I work with is a breathwork channel. So there's any litany of different niches that you can hit on YouTube, but the point is, legacy media people, they're used to having whole teams, you know? Like, yeah, if you get to the Mr. Beast level, you're going to have a big team. You'll have a big team, a production team. You'll need one if you're going to produce stuff like that. But look at this. When Mr. Beast went over to Prime and he produced that show for them, it was a complete flop. When he went to Resorts World recently and they had some sort of tie-in with Mr. Beast, that too was a flop. But you could really just put that on Resorts World because they're horribly ran. Excuse me. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn that are from a TV background, TV production background. And there's also some reality shows that I work with on YouTube, so I'm always interested in seeing what kind of talent's out there. And I've seen some of the things that these former broadcast people put onto YouTube. Like, they'll work little projects. I've seen them trying to get some projects off the ground, and they do it. Gosh, they just do it backwards. So they'll name the channel something like Next Phase Productions, or let's say Touchstone Productions, right? They'll name their channel that. So right then and there, you already don't have any SEO play, search engine optimization. Whereas you should just make a channel, if you're going to make a reality show or try to make a traditional television show on YouTube, you need to name your channel after the actual show. You don't want to name it your production company stuff, but that all goes back to this whole infatuation with branding that so many people have. Like, I've been in business, I've seen different competitors and stuff like that fixate over what font they're going to use, over what color they're going to use, and just go back and forth for months. There's a major company I work for. I made their logo in 15 minutes, one of my first weeks I was working for them, and I bet the CEO of that company doesn't even know what the logo looks like, because it's not about that. It's never about that. But when you're coming back from that broadcast background, first and foremost, one of the main things that people from a broadcast background don't want to do is give anything away for free. YouTube is a free platform, specifically. There's ad revenue, but man, if I was Howard, I would launch on YouTube, and I would do one of those YouTube memberships, right? But the problem is that Howard's going to have to cough up 30% to YouTube, so that's probably not a viable option for him. But it would be interesting to see him do that, because he would have way more reach.
125,000 listeners a day only. When the man used to get 20 million when he was on the air in New York and Los Angeles, Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. I would hear Howard on WCKG, listen to him on my way into college when I was a kid. And the deal is this, like, because they don't have that reach, and because so many of these people in broadcast, like a Colbert, like a Jon Stewart, and who else? Kimmel, these type of guys. I'm just calling out the hosts, of the Tonight Show and all that stuff. They're a little bit irrelevant because they don't give away a lot on YouTube. They don't give away a lot on social media. It's like go and talk to some of your younger relatives. If you have younger relatives in your family, ask them if they love Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. They won't even know what you're talking about, bro. They're not even gonna know what you're talking about. So you're seeing this huge shift. And like right now, I think it's in Texas and in Pennsylvania, Netflix is opening up a big physical location. And people might scratch their head. They're like, why is a streaming service opening up a big physical location? Like, what's the point of that? It's going to be Universal Studios, bro. It's going to be Disneyland. Because this breed of kids, they're growing up on YouTube. I shouldn't say breed. This generation of kids, they're growing up on YouTube, right? They're growing up on all the streaming services. They're growing up on TikTok. They don't know Mr. Rogers. They know Miss Rachel. And the point is this. Anyone can do this. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. And that's why people are getting humbled, like Howard Stern. Because more people are engaging with the Rizzler every day than they are Howard Stern, the former king of all media. Boy, man, when it was Howard Stern's last day and first day on XM, well, it was Sirius back then when he joined, they had a huge parade in New York and the streets were full. I stayed home from college that day so I could listen to it live on Sirius. I think they gave a free trial for that period. Point is this. These are shifts, these are shifts. Video killed the radio star, right? That's what happened. Streaming killed the television star. It's just a shift, but that doesn't mean the television star can't be a star on YouTube. You just have to do it differently. You have to do it very differently. And I'd say Bubba the Love Sponge is a good example of someone who's been able to shift. And even if you want to dig back earlier, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was known for Fear Factor and being a stand-up comedian. And he put the hustle in, and he was able to become basically the king of all media now in terms of podcasts. And look at a guy like Theo Vaughn. He used to be on XM all the time with Opie and Anthony, going in there and making jokes and all that stuff. And he did all those Brendan Schaub, I think that's his name, Brendan Schaub podcasts, and made a name for himself. But the thing that just boggles my mind is that anyone can do this. And that's got to really boil the blood of people that come from a broadcast background, because you used to have to kiss the ring to get into those different circles. And it was even worse if you're talking about people like Harvey Weinstein, the guy from Fox News, different things like that. Point is, you don't have to do that anymore. There is no gatekeeper to YouTube, pal. Everyone's got it on their phone. Everyone can upload. All you gotta do is pull your phone out of your pocket and you can start. It's not that difficult. No, it's not pre-recorded, Alias. It's not pre-recorded. And Nada, I appreciate that you said that about my content. I'm talking to you, Alias. I'm talking to everybody in the chat. All three of you that are out there. Yeah, I know it probably sounds like old guy yells at cloud. But yeah, I just decided to talk about this tonight. I haven't made a lot of content on the channel in a while. But I found it really not surprising that Stern is being canceled. I found it surprising that people are surprised that Stern is getting canceled, because saying you're on at SiriusXM is like saying you have a silent movie coming out next month, or I don't know, you're writing your next novel with a typewriter. It's dated. So when the man's only getting 125,000 listens a day, gosh, man, that's really bad. And I'm talking to Moose Knuckle too there. I see the Eric Cartman thing. Who was that? Who's the biggest fall off ever? Howard Stern? He didn't fall off instantly. It's just he became way sanitized. I mean, he kind of fell in line with the way that culture shifted, and I understand it. The man wanted to stay employed, but he was also on XM radio. He could have stayed employed. He could have said all kinds of crazy stuff. If Howie would have been smart, he would have got in with Rogan and brought him on the channel. I know Rogan used to be on O&A's channel back in the day, But he should have been taking all these really up and coming podcasts and putting them on his channel, his Howard 100 channel, and just building this massive thing. I know he had Bubba the Love Sponge on there, but problem is that from my understanding, because I've listened to enough of this stuff, if you can't tell, I'm interested in shock jocks. I grew up in that era, listening to Man Cow in Chicago. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, and a lot of ONA too. But the old Howard man, he sure didn't like competition. If you look at the history between him and Opie and Anthony, especially Cumia making fun of him, and yeah, like what you just said there, Howard and the blackface. Howard did a lot of stuff he wasn't happy about in the 1980s. Tons of stuff, man. That's, I guess he tried to bury it. You know, he didn't. I don't know why he tried to bury it. I mean, we see the stats here. The man was getting 20 million listeners. It's not like people don't know about it, right? Oh, Moose, you need to go check out Bubba's YouTube channel now. Dude is still putting out shows. Like this whole Hulk Hogan thing, he was on top of that stuff. I only became aware that Hogan might be sick because I saw Bubba come across my stream. Because a long time ago, I did a video on this channel called The Last Shock Jock Standing. And Bubba actually talked about it on his show. It was pretty cool. And yeah, go look up the Bubba Army. It's the name of his YouTube channel. Howard was on E with some of the favorite stuff on TV late. Yeah, late as a teenager, huh? Watching old Howard on E. What were you doing watching those? You weren't watching Wild on too, were you? With Brooke Burke? You weren't watching those shows, were you? E was something else in the 90s, huh, pal? Before the internet? Before the wide use of the internet, I should say. But I did watch Howard's show as well. And that's when he had all the Whack Pack on there, and it was pretty funny. Beetlejuice, and I remember, what was it, Hank the Drunk Dwarf or something like that? I can remember watching all those. You forgot about Wild On, huh? I'm surprised you forgot about that. Oh yeah, you watched his New Year's Eve special, huh, Moose Knuckle? Yeah, I never paid for any of the Howard stuff, you know. I thought about getting XM for a while, but it was going to be a hassle. The car I had at the time wasn't equipped for XM, and this was before podcasts were really big and all that, and then smartphones were what they are now. Back in, say, 2011, I thought about getting XM because I really liked ONA. I liked listening to them, you know, before Cumia got fired and all that stuff. And I was going to get it for that reason, but I don't know. It was just always a hassle. I know a lot of cars had it built in and all that stuff, but now it's like they're begging you to subscribe. Like I get mail from SiriusXM a couple times a year telling me I can have a subscription for $6. It's like they're basically panhandling to get subscribers at this point. And I guess they probably just want that to boost their sub number up, so maybe that can help with stock earnings or something like that. Like I don't understand how that works. But yeah, it's interesting. Actually, when I put that Top Shock Jock or Last Shock Jock Standing video out, I talked to Tim Sabian from XM, Sirius XM. He's not with them anymore. He's kind of working in podcasts now, but that was interesting because he saw that video and liked it. Yeah, Howard did turn on half his audience. That's the thing. You don't want to get too political. Because I'd say Cumia turned on half of his audience too, you know, but it hasn't really affected Cumia a whole lot because in turning on his audience, I guess you could say, or at least becoming very conservative, he still never necessarily became sanitized, you know. He's a conservative guy, but he's not like a Shapiro or what's that guy's name? Matt Walsh, the guy who does the racist movie and that stuff. He's not like that, because I see that Matt Walsh guy. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't care about politics, but Matt Walsh, he's a beast. He's a beast on YouTube. His face is everywhere, bro. And he's got some funny videos out there, but I kind of just don't like his delivery. And I don't play with Ben Shapiro. I don't watch the political stuff. But the whole point in bringing those guys up is that Cumia is conservative, but he never stopped being funny sometimes. But when he goes on about the politics and stuff, I just kind of stopped listening to it. I don't listen to Anthony a whole lot anymore. I thought it was really crazy when he would come on Alex Jones's show on InfoWars. And the only reason I'd ever tune into InfoWars is because, man, if you want to hear some crazy stuff, like the first 15 minutes every day of InfoWars is just pure insanity. Like Jones comes in and he's just nuts and he's just yelling and yelling and yelling. And sometimes he'll be like, I'm leaving. I can't even do the show today. You guys go ahead. I can't do the show. And then he comes back. They'll do like this whole news bumper where they're talking about all the headlines and stuff. And then maybe 5 minutes later, you'll hear him shuffling his papers. He's like, Well, I gotta stay here and we gotta fight. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us. Yeah. You know about it, Moose Knuckle. And that's why I thought it was funny, because once in a while I'd want to hear Alex freak out. I only listened to the first 15 minutes, and I would hear Cumia on there. I'm like, what the heck is Anthony Cumia doing on here, dude? Like, why is he on InfoWars, man? Like, I thought it was the dumbest thing. And you could hear Anthony trying to speak about politics and stuff like that, and yeah, it's just not his vibe. I mean, yeah, he has political views, but he's not a political pundit, you know. Mancow tried to do that for a little bit in Chicago too, and they even put him on the big conservative talk radio channel out there, and he would do his Mancow thing, you know, and it was not good. It didn't last long either. I think he lasted maybe 3 months in that slot, and I would listen to it because I wanted to hear the old Mancow, you know, and it's like, God, this is stupid. But it was an AM station. It was an hour-long show. He didn't have Turd there or anybody. It was him and some old man doing the show, and they didn't clash. They clashed very, very often. They didn't really mesh too well because the other guy had been doing political radio for like decades, and you'd get Cow in there, and he's trying to talk with authority. And point is no one's even listening to the radio anymore. How many of you guys watching right now actually turn on your radio in your car, other than your aux or your Bluetooth? When my Bluetooth, I have a Nissan and it doesn't work all the time. The Bluetooth in there, it must be a problem with Nissan. It's been a problem since I bought this vehicle. But the deal is this: when I have to look for a radio station, I'll press the scan button, right? And I'll go through all these stations, and all I hear are Christian radio stations. I don't have a problem with Christianity, but it tells me no one is really listening to the radio. You know, if the same station, K-Love, owns like 3 different numbers on the dial, and they're not even right next to each other, it's like no one's listening to this stuff, dude. You actually started listening to the radio again because you went back to a flip phone. It's so sad. There's only like 7 stations here now. Yeah, that's what I found here in Phoenix. Like, I'm not from here, so I don't know all the stations. So I know that 93.3 is like the alternative station. I think 94.7 is like oldies. And like 92.3 is like conservative talk radio, so I don't want to listen to that stuff. But then the rest of it is either church. There's a lot of classical on there. And there's some Spanish, obviously, because it's a heavy Hispanic community out here in Phoenix. But why'd you get the flip phone, man? I see your name is Nada, so I'm guessing you're one of the They Live bros. I definitely think that's Roddy Piper in your avatar there. What made you go back to the flip phone? Yeah, a lot of country, too. That's the thing. One of the last genres of music that was still pushing CDs was country music. There was a lot of people still buying country music CDs. In a past life, before I became a YouTuber, I worked at Kmart, and we would sell a lot of country CDs. But now, you know, CDs aren't here anymore, and neither is Kmart. So there's that. But I find it interesting that you went back to a flip phone. I've thought about doing that, but I do a lot of business on my phone, so I kind of need it, I guess. I wouldn't be able to send an email on a flip phone with photo attachments and things like that. Wouldn't be able to screenshot things, and wouldn't be able to look at YouTube analytics on the mobile. And you got burnt on the constant notifications, spent way too much time on it. I have a thing on mine called Stay Focused. It's an app. I'm not a paid marketer, so this isn't a commercial right here. But I have the old Stay Focused on there, and it helps me stay off the apps and time myself. You got a They Live tattoo, huh? That's interesting, man. I love that movie. I've always loved that movie. I recommend everyone watch it. It might give a little bit of clarity on the way marketing works. I am a marketer, and I'm telling you that. I'll say this about marketing. You know, a lot of people, especially if you're marketing bad things, if you're marketing tobacco, addictive things, if you're marketing alcohol, certain ways we market guns, different things like that. Like, I wouldn't want to be involved in that marketing. Anything that would be harmful to somebody, I wouldn't want to market it. Even like snack foods and just junk foods and fast food and all that stuff. So They Live is kind of interesting. It's a really good movie. I think John Carpenter said it was a documentary. And I know I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, it's an indictment on Reaganomics. Well, Reagan's been dead for a while, dude. But yeah, consumerism is still here. So it's not specific to any presidential administration. It's kind of like we keep the ball rolling, you know, we keep the snowball rolling. And I'll say this: it's not that I'm anti-corporation or anything like that, but I've come to the conclusion, having traveled around the world. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Korea, South Korea, not North Korea, and I've been to Hong Kong. And there's a McDonald's at all those places. There's McDonald's everywhere, Burger King everywhere, and I just don't think we need those businesses everywhere. I don't think every country needs a McDonald's. I don't think every country needs a Burger King. Eat, sleep, and consume. Everything in that movie applies more now than ever. That might be true. That might be true, especially with the watches, right? Like I got one right here. I remember that scene, the guy disappearing, the guy who was homeless with them, and then he became one of the. He became in conjunction with the aliens. Yeah, it's a great movie. I recommend everyone watch it. And really, Roddy Piper was one of the best wrestling actors, at least until The Rock came around. Definitely couldn't see Hogan doing that movie. Rest in peace. Not trying to be a jerk, but I will say though, I do love No Holds Barred. That's also a good movie. And people don't even watch movies anymore. I try to get some of my younger relatives to watch movies, and they can't sit through it. It was funny. We were watching around Christmas time. We were watching Home Alone. And I was showing it to my little nephew, who's young, under 3 years old, and my older nephew comes into the room, and he's about 16. He goes, he's watching some scene where Macaulay Culkin's like laying the micro machines or something, or the paint cans. I can't remember. He goes, "Oh, I saw that video before," and it speaks to the way we consume content now. We consume it in little bits and pieces. So really, I feel like the young developing mind of people that were born after, say, 2005, they don't have the capacity to sit down and enjoy a long film. The vast majority, I know that's a generalization, but the vast majority of all humans right now, we have this dwindling attention span. So if you expect somebody to go into a cinema and sit there and watch it for that long, it's not going to happen. I've seen some of these new like 4D experience cinemas where they have the wraparound screen and they have the seats that move and they got air shooting you in the face and stuff. That'll get some young people to go to the movies again, but those tickets are like $40 each. So yeah, young people don't always have the cash to go and see that stuff either. But I still like going to the movies, and I still like watching movies. I could still watch a Scorsese movie, even though it's 3.5 hours long and things like that. But you know, I'm older, and to be quite honest, you know, I work on YouTube. That's all I do. My job is marketing people's YouTube channels. That's exactly what I do for a living. And I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube. If I do watch YouTube on my television here, I'll watch something stupid. It'll be like 10 recipes from the 70s that no one makes anymore. And it'll be some AI video where it'd show me old food, like chicken a la king and these old things that people used to eat. The Departed was great. And that's what I'm saying. But The Departed, it's a longer movie. It's probably at least 2.5 hours long. And kids these days, they just won't sit through it. They're not going to sit through it. Not to mention this. You want to talk about something else. The constant access to media on demand like that, kids get their favorite video and it's all they want to watch. My nephew, he loves Miss Rachel, and there's this song, Daddy Finger. If any of you have kids, you probably know the song. That boy's still singing that song. He's almost 3 years old now, and he just wants to see that video all the time. It's not like an everyday thing, but it's like a pacifier. Whereas I can remember when I was a kid, and when you guys were probably kids, if you want to watch your favorite show, you either had to tape that thing or you're kind of SOL. You know, you had to wait for the curated media to come back around and show it to you. So I think that's probably bad for people's reward systems and their dopamine in their brain to be able to have instant access to any of the type of content that you want all the time. I mean, that's got to be frying people's brain chemistry, I would imagine. Can't be good. Can't be good. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's been good talking to all you people tonight. I'm glad you engaged with me. It's interesting. Old Howard got canceled, and it wasn't for anything political. It wasn't for anything salacious. He finally got fired, basically, getting canceled by XM, and it's just because they're all out of money. Because nobody's listening to XM. Colbert is getting shown the door because no one's watching TV. Things are changing, and the great thing about it is you could be a part of it. YouTube's for everybody. All of us have YouTube on our phones. You can get it on your TV. You can get it on your laptop. YouTube's for everybody. And any of you can be doing it big on YouTube. So I'm going to leave with that. And everyone have a good night, okay? Thank you for watching.